Hi guys, welcome back to Future Dimensions 360. As you know, in our last tutorial, we had learned about an example of asynchronous method with Redux store. We already reached up to that level where we will be needing an asynchronous action creator to call an API and set them up or set the data into the state. What example we had implemented in our last tutorial is that we had created an initial state, we had saved some actions we will be needing, we will be calling these action creators, and then a reducer that will allow us to start fetching the API, either it's successful or it's failed. According to that, we will set up our results in the store, Redux store, and we had created a Redux store already. Now what we need here is we have to call an API of users. The users are available here in JSON placeholder. I will pass this link in the video description for you guys. You can call this API and get up to 10 users in single request, and we have to show them in our Redux library. We have to show them in our console or terminal. How we can do that? For that, we will be needing two different library. The first one is Axios. Axios is what? It's a library that will help us to call an API. Secondly, we will be needing Redux Thunk. What is Redux Thunk? Redux Thunk. It's associated with Redux rich ecosystem, and that is well organized and defined, and it's a kind of middleware that will allow you to define an asynchronous action creators as a middleware. How you can do that? Let's dive into the code and try to understand how we can implement those. So this is our project right now. First of all, first step, we have to install these libraries. Sudo npm I need Axios space Redux Thunk. These two libraries I will be needing for my project. Okay. Secondly, what I need, let me move it down a little bit, the terminal, so we can see the code in more better way. Let's close it, it's easier. So first of all, we have to import the libraries. How we can import them? Const Axios equals to require, and it will be Axios. Similarly, we have to import Redux Thunk library as well by using require Redux Thunk. So first of all, let's set up this Thunk library as a middleware to our Redux store. So how we can set up this library, as a middleware to our Redux store? For that one, we had learned in three videos back, that we have to get hold of one method available inside library called apply middleware. This one. So that will allow us to apply any kind of middleware to our Redux store. So let's say we will apply middleware. What middleware we will apply? reduxthunk.thunk. This will be our middleware. Similarly, we have to create an asynchronous action creator that will allow us to call these synchronized action creators. So that Redux Thunk library will allow us to create a function as a middleware, and that will allow us to create an asynchronous actions inside it. So it will be nothing but just a function. I will say it's fetch users, and it will be an arrow function. This arrow function will return what? Instead of normal action creators are returning an object. This will return what? A function as an object, function as a returning method, or a method in return statement. That return function or method will have access to what? To dispatch method. And what we will do here in this one, we will be calling our Axios library, axios.get, and this get method we will call our link for JSON placeholder. So let's go back and call this one, and then then this then will do what? It will bring us a response back in an arrow function. We will call that one. This response.data will have a list of users. Similarly, we will be having a catch method also. In that one, we will receive an error in case of any error. Okay, and that we will call as callback as well, and error dot message will have an error description that what error has been occurred. So we will call this how. First of all, before calling this action creator, what we have to do here is we have to create const unsubscribe. We will get it from the subscribe event of store. Subscribe store dot subscribe, we will call this method, and a callback we will pass it here. In that callback we will say console dot log what store dot get state. It will print a state always when there is any kind of changes in the store. How the changes will happen? First of all, before calling this API, what we have to do here is we are having an access to our dispatch method. This dispatch method will allow us to dispatch our actions. What actions we will perform? First, create fetch request action. What it will return back? It will return back the type. What is that? It's fetch user request. One fetch user request will come. We will just set up the loading to true. So let's just pass this to dispatch action. Similarly, once the result will come, we will say dispatch. What we will have to dispatch? The second action creator, that is success method, and in which one we will pass users as a parameter. What will be our users as a parameter? As we told you, it's response.data. Okay. As the user data is too much, you can say, so let's just take the ID only by using map method. Let's say user and user dot ID. Okay. Like this. Similarly, in case of error, we have to pass what? We have to pass failed fetch user request, and in that one we will be passing error dot message as parameter. So that's it. We can pass over all. I have called all our actions here, and we have to pass this action as dispatch method after subscribing to the store, that is store dot dispatch, and in that one we will be saying call fetch users like this. So once the store is created, this function will be returned as a middleware. As soon as your store is created, this function will be called here directly, whatever the return for that. It will have an access of dispatch method that will allow you to create first action creator, fetch user action, create fetch user action. After that, you will be calling an Axios API. Once the result came, if it's successful, you can dispatch user list with success method and with the action type success, and with action type failure with error message, you can dispatch that one in case of any error by using this synchronized methods. So let's open up our terminal back again and see if the results are there or no. Sudo npm start. Keep one thing in mind, you have to go to package.json file, and this start, just change it to, instead of index, just change it to async redux.js, the file name what you have to run. So in our case, it's async redux.js. Okay. Let's hit save, and you guys can see initially the state is loaded, and then there is a gap a little bit, and then we had called all the our user list is flooded up with user IDs. In case we want to show what? We want to show username, so we can, instead of IDs, just change this mapping method to username. So it will show us all the name of users. Those are available in our API endpoint. Let's say the loading is started. Once the loading is started, it will show the loading on the screen. Once we got the user list successfully, the loading is turned to false and the user list is available here. All the users are available. Let's say if there is any error in the API, let's say I will just remove this E from here, from the link, and like this we will hit. You guys can see that it will take you to failure action, that is users, and error is, let me say it's, for example, in error we had turned that, for example, fetch user request, fetch user success. It's not fetch user request, it fetch user failure. Very sorry. So let's say it's like this. This one you guys can see Now we are making the loading request to true. Once the API is hitted up, as soon as the error came, you guys can see loading screen is false. User list is still empty, but error have a value. That is that there is no link available. Okay, or there is no response from the API back. So this is how you can implement the Redux Thunk. Let's go back and try to recall it one more time. What we have done here is, first of all, we had imported Axios, Redux Thunk, and Redux library. We got an hold of Redux store, create store method from Redux, and apply middleware method from Redux library. In initial state, that will have 3 parameters. One of them is loading, that is initially true. Users is an empty list, and error is an empty string. 3 methods we will be using in our case. One of them is once the request is started, the loading screen will start on the screen. Secondly, if the results are successful, we will be receiving a success results or list of users. Similarly, if the results are failed or there is any issue or any error in the API request, we will be receiving an error message back. So we will create all these 3 actions with action creators. These are synchronized action creators that will return an object as a parameter, an object as a returning values. And all object will contain a type of action and a payload. In case of action start or create or fetch user request, there is no payload, only the fetch user request will set up a loading screen to true. Similarly, in success, we will take users as an input, and as a payload, we will return list of users. Similarly, in case of failure or error, we will take error message as an input, and we will show in the payload the error message, or we'll pass that one. Reducer will handle all 3 cases and return back the new state always. In case of starting, we will be returning the loading screen to true only in the previous state. And in case of success, we will be changing the loading to false, error message to empty string, and list of users to action.payload. And in case of failure, we will be passing the user list to empty string, empty array, loading will turn to false, and error will show an error message. In case all these cases are not matched, we will be returning the same previous state as it is. This is a method of asynchronous thunk that will allow us to create an async method and call all our action creator synchronously, or allow us to dispatch all our synchronized action creators inside the function that is returned from this action creator. Fetch users. There is a function that is returned from this action creator that will have an hold of dispatch method also, and we can create all these dispatches as much we want, like if we want synchronously or asynchronously. So first of all, we will be calling, or we will be dispatching the create fetch user request action to open the loading screen. Then we will call an API. If the results are successful, we will call the success method with the list of user, and we are mapping the name only. In case of error, we will be showing up the error only, and here we are creating a store. Similarly, we will pass a reducer to it, and apply middleware function will allow us to pass Redux Thunk as a middleware. And there is a subscribe method that will show the changes in the state and the log again and always whenever there is changes. Similarly, the dispatch method will allow us to call an asynchronous action creator that should be done with the help of Redux Thunk API, or that is the functionality of Redux Thunk ecosystem or Redux ecosystem. I hope you guys understand it. In case of any question, any query, you can comment us. You can reach us to our mailbox as well. Please don't forget to like and subscribe our channel. See you in the next video. Until then, take care. Goodbye.